My name is Maya Johnson, and my informative speech is on the history of space travel. Outer space can be defined as the physical universe beyond Earth's atmosphere. Another name for it, known as the final frontier, is because of its true massiveness and the certainty that we will have discovered everything here on Earth before we have discovered everything in space. Now imagine, over half a century ago, sending a human being into what was believed as just a massive emptiness. When living in a society that is focused on technological development, it is important to us that we learn about where it all came from and how those times in history affected life as we know it. What began as the Cold War ended as a giant leap in the direction of space exploration, and will continue to grow into a future dedicated to the research of outer space that will lead us to where we stand today. Outer space has always been a fascinating topic to me. Much of it remains a mystery, and I cannot imagine a field more exciting. By conducting the necessary research, I have learned a lot about space travel and the thrilling events that are involved with its evolution. As we discuss space travel, we will not only consider its origin, but also the events that follow, which continue to influence the world's future scientifically and technologically, ultimately resulting in today's space program. Tensions were high beginning in 1947 as the first signs of the Cold War began to emerge. Within the 44 years that the war lasted came the birth of space travel. What was the Cold War? The Cold War was more of a silent war between the United States and the Soviet Union. According to Harlan Cleveland from the National Archives Administration, the two countries were nominally at peace. It was a fight to prove the correct way to reform: democracy, as exemplified by the United States, or socialism, as demonstrated by the Soviets. The nuclear arms race is the center of the entire war. Who was more capable of complete and utter destruction? Despite the lack of violence involved in this war, it was the idea of violence that resulted in this war's so-called coldness. Among the strain presented throughout the world, the race for nuclear superiority was prominent, and it is what launched the first space-bound satellite by the Soviet Union known as Sputnik into orbit. This groundbreaking accomplishment took place on October 4, 1957, with the United States not far behind. January 31, 1958, the United States launches the Explorer 1 satellite. America had taken its first step in its research of the universe beyond Earth's surface. Despite the Soviets' victory in being the first to launch a satellite into orbit, it was not the end of the space race. Those advancements planted a seed for a whole new field of investigation that would provide jobs to countless people and will influence our future. Accomplishment after accomplishment, the two countries continuously worked against each other to make the biggest breakthroughs in space exploration. There are many triumphs in space history, however, I'm only going to describe a few of them. According to the Archives of Library Information Center, known as the ALIC, August 19, 1960, the first living being survived a journey to space. The Soviet Union launched two dogs, Strelka and Belka, into orbit inside Sputnik 5. Bigger steps are being taken, and not long after, the ALIC states that President Kennedy challenged the country to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. These steps got increasingly bigger when the first men walked in space in 1965 and when the first spacecraft landed on the moon in 1966. 1968, the first spacecraft orbits the moon. Russia launched Zond 5, and America's Apollo 8 follows 3 months later. 1969, President Kennedy's challenge becomes a reality when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin are the first men on the moon. Achievements pile in quickly, and one after another, some events more memorable than others, from the launch of the first space station known as the Skylab in 1973 to probes bringing back information from other planets. From victories to tragedies, everything that has occurred in roughly the past 60 years has provided us with abundant information about the biggest mystery we have yet to solve. Although closer every day, how far are we capable of going? Today, NASA continues to conduct sufficient research to further benefit society. NASA discusses the International Space Station and the benefits of holding a facility above Earth's surface. According to Brian Dunbar from NASA, the space station's microgravity environment makes research possible that can't be achieved on Earth, leading to breakthroughs in understanding Earth, space, and physical and biological sciences. The technological advancements made by NASA has a huge impact on what we are able to accomplish. Dunbar also states that, on Earth and in space, NASA is developing, testing, and flying transformative capabilities and cutting-edge technologies for a new future of human and robotic exploration. Space travel has had a huge impact on our ideas of research and our economy. It is intriguing to think that hundreds of breakthroughs have been made in such a short amount of time. A time of disagreement ultimately led us to today, where NASA is planning for their future in space exploration. As long as we keep exploring, the more we will keep learning. The past events were limits we were not sure could be reached. And today, it is only a matter of being able to dream it, because that is where it all begins. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.